welcome back to another episode. This week, marketing campaigns have been flying left, right, and center. And I think the big update is that Meta has just overtaken Google in ad revenue for the first time, which is insane.
Yeah.
So Meta is absolutely growing. It's where a lot of marketers are being, and we're going to talk about the trends on there, what's going on there, but also just the overall campaigns and what's going on in the world. Carson, how are we doing?
Dude, I'm great. I got my boy Luke in the States. He's in San Francisco. So anybody who's watching this might be in San Francisco. Hit Luke up. Tell him that you want to meet.
Yep.
I was giving Luke a couple spots to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I'm pumped. It's funny that that Google is now losing ad revenue to the ad revenue race, I guess, to Meta. And what I think it is?
What?
I think it's AI search.
Yeah.
I think that has something to do with it.
Well, I think Meta, I mean, look, they've just overtaken Google, and if you're looking at the numbers, right, Meta's growth rate is around 24.1%. And Google's is around 11.9. But I mean, just to give you the number right for the people listening, Meta projected ad revenue is $243 billion amount of ad revenue on their platform. I mean, that is wild.
That is wild.
Wild numbers. Absolute crazy numbers. So, I mean, look, Carson, marketing campaigns have got you excited. I mean, on my end, and I'll kind of get into it, but give a bit of a tease to the audience. Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, I can never pronounce his name. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to get into the campaigns. First, we've got some industry news that I do want to cover because we've got big news in the advertising world.
Okay, let's go.
ChatGPT has officially brought ads to the platform. So people can now find ads on the free version for ChatGPT. This is a kind of a view of what it's going to look like. I don't know how this is going to go. I'm interested to see what happens. You can also sign up by going to their link. I forget what the exact link is. I'll have to let you guys know. But you can sign up for ChatGPT Ads if you're a brand. If you're an agency, you can't sign up for it. I tried to sign up for it to see if I would manage it, and they said you can't sign up. You need to be invited by a brand to sign up. So it's only for brands. Agencies aren't able to advertise, which makes sense. But where do you think this is going to go? How do you think it's going to go? More importantly,
I mean, look, I mean, the famous number was that they were saying what, $60 CPMs on the platform. I mean, I'm deeply fascinated.
Here's the interesting thing, not to cut you off, but $60 CPM is the cap. You can once you hit $60 of a CPM, you can do two things. You can go cost CPM based, or you can go CPC based. If you go cost per thousand base, cost per million base, you are capped out at the 1,000 users at $60. So the max you'll pay is $60. So I'm interested to see if people are going to pay 60, the cap is 60, especially high AOV brands. If I were a high AOV brand and I have like a $100, $20 product, I'm like, cap me at $1 million, or cap me at $60 for my CPM, because then you don't have to worry so much about what are we getting cost per click? What is all this stuff? What's our attribution look like on whatever? You can just focus on all right, we know this is what our absolute max is going to be. And based on this data, we expect it'll be probably a conversion rate of around this %, but you are dealing with a new platform. So that is something I wanted to preface, but continue your thought.
But no, I mean, look, I'm just, I think the interesting thing, right, if we get rid of the numbers and the metrics, it will be the buyer psychology and what type of cohort will come through and the quality of the customers, and whether they'll be whether they'll actually, I mean, the interesting test that I would love to see will be, in a way, ChatGPT is basically now the quiz funnel, because people will be asking questions and then the product comes. And then my question will be whether that will mean that there'll be higher LTV on the back end because the customer feels like they've been heard or not. I don't know. Because it's basically a quiz funnel, right? I mean, ChatGPT, you ask a bunch of questions. Let's say, I don't know, you're in the supplement niche and you're like, I've got a bad back. What should I do? You'll go through ChatGPT, it'll be asking you questions. And then it will say, well, with what you've said, we recommend you buy this product, let's say. Will that mean that they'll be more sticky? That means they won't churn from the product they've suggested? Or, I mean, I'm just super excited to kind of watch from a distance and see what happens.
One key aspect I'm excited and intrigued about is the trust aspect. Do you think people are going to be more trustworthy because AI is giving them answers? Or do you think it's going to be less trustworthy because they know AI is only pushing me this because somebody's paying for it? So I'm interested to see how that kind of works between business and consumer of the trust side.
I think how I always break this down, how I look at things is if if the product that's suggested actually makes sense, then it's a win-win, right? The consumer feels heard, they buy a product that actually solves the problem. It'll be whether the brands, the scammier brands or the drop shipping brands get onto the
Yeah.
platform and how they play that. Because
Wonder if
it's
they're
also
gonna have to verify them too.
that's what I mean. Because again, like if you're ChatGPT, you don't want to have brands on there that are selling garbage, right? Because it actually dilutes the service that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the numbers on Meta is like 10% of ad revenue on Meta is from like scam products, like fake AI products and stuff or whatever. So it'd be interesting to see what percentage ChatGPT gets up to or allows it to get up to, you know?
Funny you said that. I actually got scammed.
Tell me more. How?
I won't get into the details, but I'll tell you after the meeting. But yeah, I got scammed on Meta. It was
Damn.
the it was a drop shipping scam. But luckily my credit card company refunded me. So
But
that's
this is what
good.
I mean. This is what I mean. Like it's everywhere. Like, I mean, the big thing. I mean, we talked about this on a previous podcast, but like the big problem we have right now is there's so many like companies that can do like fake AI stores,
Yeah.
like real like brick and mortar, and say, look, hey, we're a small local business that's been around for 50 years. Here's a picture of our brick and mortar site, and it's full AI gen. You know, and it's like so we are in a trust deficit, and I wonder how ChatGPT will play that game. But
I'm
God,
intrigued.
you know,
Another news of speaking of AI ads,
mm,
Higgsfield releases ad reference. So you can now feed it your own like top performing videos and it'll recreate the format on the platform with the MCP. So like it works on Claude, Hermes, OpenClaw, and other AI agents, and it's built for content pipelines and marketing teams running creatives at scale. So we can actually take a look at this here.
I actually have a counter to this, so I'll let you finish your.
Interesting. All right, so this is about a 30-second video. Let's go ahead and present it, and let's watch. What are we thinking, Luke?
I'm gonna give you a stat. 3 in 4 marketers are concerned that AI generated creative risks making brands look and sound the same, and 86% have already seen AI outputs that resemble content from competitors.
Really?
AI creative, in my opinion, there's a massive sameness problem, and this is the thing,
Yeah.
right? This is my warning, and this is why I explain to you what my mind is thinking. Is that AI works off right data, right? Of past data, right? It doesn't look at like the future, right? And I think the market now needs to be net new concepts. You've got to actually think outside. Like generally, like make the constraint to think, can I make an ad that's never been seen before? Because at the moment, and the problem that I'm seeing is again, these are great, and I think it's great from a workflow perspective, but it's not net new. If you're copying from competitors, the juice has already been squeezed from the lemon, right?
Yeah.
So that's what worries me: the sameness and this feeling that everything's just like consolidating around the same feeling. You know?
So funny that you say that because one, I completely agree. And we've talked about this before, but AI is not going to be able to come up with creative outside the box content
Well, it
and
needs
ideas.
like
I don't see it happening. I
because it doesn't
don't
feel
see it
anything.
happening.
There's no emotion to it. Like I mean, my opinion. Look at the Jeep ad that we showed 2 3 episodes ago, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't make that creative concept unless you're a human being because you know the feeling of having a petrol car that ruins
Yeah.
that perfect photography shot because it makes the animal run away. AI hasn't got that. AI hasn't got into a car and wanged off to go look at you know I don't know, wildlife.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool, and look, all the marketers that I know, they love their Higgsfield MCP, and yes, I think it's great, right? But I think I always say, right, supply and demand, right? If this when you look at any product that launches, if this makes this new thing super easy and commoditizes it, you have to ask the next question of, okay, fine, where's the next moat? And I think Danny Young of IM8 says it perfectly, right? He said images will be commoditized, but the video will be where the real moat is. But my argument to that is images will be commoditized if you just keep copying competitors. If you actually come up with net new ideas, then you're
Yeah.
fine.
I
That's
think
my view.
copy is going to become more important than ever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because you
But
can
also,
now
yeah,
create whatever image you want. Like the barrier is so low to
which also,
entry.
yeah,
You don't
but,
have to take a camera and go film or shoot this like crazy shot that takes a ton of editing and photo
yeah,
shoots
yeah,
and
yeah.
props and all this other shit. We experienced it today. Like I had a meeting with my designer this morning and we were like, this is such a good concept. And now we don't even have to shoot it. Like we can literally just tell it what we want and it's going to happen. And now it's like, okay, but how do we make everything aligned in order to truly like convey this idea? So I think in terms of like concept and ideation, humans are going to become more important than ever. And I think
Agreed.
AI is just going to be like everybody says, it's an enabler. So
I'm just like, don't get me wrong, right? I think these like incredible MCP and I think what Higgsfield's done, right, with theirs is phenomenal, right? It
yeah,
it gives leverage to small brands that wouldn't be able to pump out all these creatives. But you just have to ask yourself as a team, okay, what's about to become scarce? And in my opinion, it's net new concepts, right? And
yeah,
I think that's where people need to really start over indexing in more, not just copying competitors. Because don't get me wrong, I've done that before. I've done that as a strategy and it only gets you so far. It only gets you so far, you know?
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, and I agree with you. I think there's just so much of the same shit going out, and I think UGC itself is going to take a backseat. I think we're going to see a big regression in typical UGC, and we're going to see an increase in like skits and traditional ad formats, and maybe I mean Yapper ads are doing well, but that's kind of like UGC.
The problem is, right? I mean, this is the ecosystem that we're creating, and we're also a part of it. It's a new format is discovered. The big advertisers talk about how it's a great format. Everyone does it, and then the half life just gets killed.
Yeah,
So everyone's doing UGC, right? And don't get me wrong. I think there'll be more focus on nano influencers. That'd be my bullish take. I think if I was a brand and if I was running an influencer program, I'd be looking at nano influencers. So influencers that have never made content before, training them up and actually having like a little nano community. And that would be my play. But yeah, I think you agree. Like macro influencers, what they'll charge 400K for like 2 posts. Like those days are gone.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense. You
It's
know?
yeah, it's completely gone. Now it's like if you're gonna justify that cost, you have to have an agency who's able to do actual great output.
Yeah. But then also like an interesting thing that I saw recently is a Logan Paul, a name, that I don't often talk about, but Logan Paul, he's done like an interesting Polymarket deal where he's now promoting Polymarket on his YouTube channel. And he's got like this Polymarket chain or whatever. I think he's just sold it actually. But anyway, he's pushing Polymarket and whatever. I think that's quite an interesting thing, right? Like working on content creators that do really good long form. That's a moat in itself, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time. But then AI avatars. God, I don't know. It's exciting but worrying at the same time, right? Trust
Yeah.
deficit, you know?
That's why we've talked about it before. Analog and experiential is just that's what's gonna be in community. That's the future. I think we're going back. Like I think we are going back to more traditional terms of advertising and people want to get out there and actually truly experience things and get offline. And I think I think advertising is in this beautiful place where you're going to have the people who can see. I actually think everybody who's so obsessed in tunnel visioned with AI are going to be the ones who fall behind unless they're creating truly like life-changing opportunities with it, like in the
Mm.
advertising space. Other than that, I think the companies like us who are going towards the experiential, who are doing traditional, who are still in the digital space, but have this like holistic view, they're going to be the ones to continue to thrive and honestly probably be the next wave of great advertising agencies.
Well, I mean, I think the interesting question right now would be, and that's why I'm very bullish on out of home as a concept, because I
Yep.
think realistically, you need to look, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they want in real life experiences. There's a growing, as we know, right? There's a growing disconnect between digital life and real life. And I think the question I'd be asking most advertising teams is, when was the last time you did an out of home activation?
Yeah.
But I would be scared to say that many of them wouldn't have an answer to that, or if any.
And this is where I think like the big agencies are now positioned well to continue dominating that space, but also there's a lot of opportunity for the smaller agencies to like I said, I mean, hate to beat a dead horse, but that's why we're so bullish on it, you know.
You know,
What other news
they,
you got for me?
I mean, apart from, I mean, the big one, right? I would probably say has been the AI creative saintness, as we were talking about. I mean, interestingly, I know we're talking about how UGC and influencer is kind of in an interesting position. The creator economy is on track to hit $44 billion this year, right?
Jesus.
And it's like, and there is a trend right now where brands are shifting from this like one-off campaign partnership play to like always on approach. But it's an interesting thing, right? And I think as we were talking, right, like if you look at it, most advertisers now are classifying creators as like a must buy alongside the paid search and the paid social, right, as a part of their strategy now. But as we're saying, AI generated content is flooding social feeds. There is, I don't know, I don't know, like, will there be more of will there be more of a stress to have more like human influencers? Yes. But I don't know. I'm in this like two spaces right now. But the creator economy is huge. I mean, as we know, 44 billion. It's growing. So,
I think it's gonna keep growing too, especially on the human side. I think like there will be a place for AI avatars and AI creators, but I don't think that it's gonna be human replacement quality
yeah,
material.
yeah, I agree.
Last
I
piece
agree.
of big news before I use our next segment of news to segue into campaigns, but the Corgi Cafe, as I was just telling Luke before we started, has launched cafe drink collabs. So they've partnered with like a bunch of different startups and tech companies for limited edition drinks of their choice. And the cafe is canvassed with like tech startup billboards, right? Or not the cafe, but San Francisco is canvassed with tech startup billboards,
It's
which
everywhere.
can
I can
cost,
tell you. I can tell
yeah,
you they're
which can
bloody
cost
everywhere.
anywhere from like low 5 figs if you're really lucky for a small placement, all the way up to low 6 figures. There's out of home ads littered all over the city. Luke is now experiencing it. And Corgi Cafe is trying to create a high ROI investment for brands by giving them an opportunity to advertise a drink in their cafe. So each drink includes an activation day where brands will take over the cafe because it's open 24/7. They ask for one CTA to push throughout the partnership so we can quantify and guarantee we've moved the needle for the business. And we've been selling them. They said they've been selling them like hotcakes since their ICP is founders, investors, and builders in the startup ecosystem. These are um, some of the drinks and brands that they've partnered with. So they have Brexpresso, great name, 10 out of 10. They have Quoto Brew. They have Brew Daytona. They have Hello World by Anything. And then they've got Deal Speed by Deal. So I think this is a great idea. And Luke, ties exactly into what we were just saying of like real world advertising opportunities in like different ways. I remember I told you about this idea that I had this exact thing. Which is pretty funny. So great for them, good for them for Corgi and for the brands doing this. I think this is awesome, and a super easy way to start fitting into people's lives. I want to know what you think. What do you think here? Are we
I
bullish? Are
mean,
we bearish?
I am okay. The question I ask, right, is it's an easy way for brands to do in real life activations, but I
Mm-hmm.
also think it's the convenient way. I think it'll allow brands to be lazy and not actually doing this for themselves. That's my hot take. But I do like it. It's a good direction, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I
I mean, yeah,
also
that'd
think
be my view.
I also think there might be like with this, I think what you'd prefer to do, in my opinion, is do maybe like 2 big campaigns in a month and extend that over the course of like a year. So you're doing 24 total campaigns. Because if you're doing this every day, I think it might be a little bit too in people's face with advertising. And they're like, oh, well, here's this drink again. But if they're only advertising like one drink every day, that's a little bit different. Again, I think it's an interesting and like the right direction. And I mean, I think it's overall like a good idea that they can absolutely iterate on and continue to do really well.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
I
am
agree. I
definitely
agree.
bullish on this type of advertising and
I agree. I agree.
this idea just in general.
But it's I don't know. I agree, but I also think it'd be interesting. There's no point doing it as a team if there's no like wider activation. If it's just a random drink, it's like, well, just throwing stuff at a wall and hopefully it sticks. So you've got to have some play on it, right? In some way.
Yeah.
And that'd be my view. And then that was really cool though. That's a really cool
Yeah. It's sick.
that is really sick actually. So
So
if I'm
now
right,
I think
next
we're gonna lead into the same thing.
yes. Well, I think you can actually pronounce the name. I can't, so I think you should talk about it. So
Okay.
please do.
All right. So um now we have an interesting segment here. This is Adidas's, I think, attempt at a nail in the coffin to Nike. Adidas has now mounted a big production with pretty big stars such as Timothy Chalamet, with Messi, with a bunch of other Adidas stars, and they are taking on Nike in its own backyard world event. So if you don't know, Nike has been all in on their like backyard football soccer tournaments, and it's a very big part of their strategy within the sport. So they're trying to reach the youth. They're trying to sponsor events. They're trying to do fun stuff, right? And Adidas has now come in and said, we're going to take this over. Like, we're going to absolutely crush you. And they made a 5-minute long promo, almost like a short film, and it's beautifully done. We won't we won't share it in this video with you guys because we don't want to take up 5 minutes of your time on when we can be yapping. But it everybody's talking about this. I think on Twitter, it's got like almost 3 million views. Yeah, it's got 3.3 million views now. And I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a big play for them. Luke, what are we thinking? What do we think about the move? What do we think about the ad? Tell me everything, brother. Tell me everything.
I mean, look, the World Cup's huge. I mean, shock horror, right? And I think this is probably a great way to build culture, to build a cultural moment. And I think for me, again, right? Again, we talk about supply and demand, right? You know, what becomes scarce. And I think true, great storytelling is becoming scarce. I think so many brands could just do like a, you know, really short, like skitty video or whatever. I'm not saying skit videos aren't bad, but you know, sometimes they're easier to make. But this is a full campaign. It's a full commercial. There's a very nice through line. I like it. I think if they get this right, they could definitely be one of the big brands to win the World Cup storytelling, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because it's a 5-minute ad, isn't it?
Yeah. 5-minute campaign ad. Beautifully well done. The storytelling is unbelievable. And I sat through the whole thing and I was just like, Nike's got to get back to their ways. Like they are getting battered left and right now in every sport, in every way.
But I think it's the problem. I think, well, yes, I agree. I think they're getting battered, but I've always learned with Nike, don't count them out.
Yeah, no,
They
can't
love a
count
good
them out. But I think this is, I think they're also in a point where it's kind of not sink or swim or do or die, but I think for them, they've fallen out of the spotlight so much in every sport that it's at a point now where they really have to go and be like, we are not doing this correctly. Like we are doing something wrong. We've got to fix our shit.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a come to Jesus time for them. So, you know, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, but my personal take is that they need to just pick one sport, probably running, try and rework everything from the ground up, get back to their ways, be unapologetic, and then just once they nail it back and they kind of get back to themselves, start doing that with every sport.
Yeah.
Like get back to winning, get back to greatness.
Agreed. I think it's easy for a brand to get confused along the way, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and just so everybody knows, we have only 5 minutes left. Luke's got to run to a meeting. So I want to take this time to give Luke the floor and tell us about our historical campaign.
Well, I'm going to do some speed runs there. So first of all,
bet. Okay, let's hear it.
Let me speed run. So first of all, a campaign that's got me really intrigued is a brand that wants to define the summer, and the summer vibe is authenticity and ease with the Old Navy launch. And the new summer campaign, it's Old Navy, right? With Paris Hilton. The angle basically New Navy. The play basically is this kind of like, how can we define what the American summer will look like? And they're leaning into again the authenticity and ease, which is really cool. I think it'll be interesting to see how it does. Again, they're playing into the nostalgia, the Y2K culture, kind of like consumer trend of recent years. So I'm excited to see how it performs.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, looking at kind of the early shots?
I think it's cool. I think they're I think we're kind of seeing that nostalgia of early 2000s and even the 2010s come back around. So I'm bullish on it. I think it's a good start. I haven't looked into it at all, but from what you just showed me of a synopsis, I think it's got potential, especially just bringing back the vibe.
I think nostalgia is such an easy play for a lot of brands, so I'm very bullish on that. Again, another thing I want to show you guys is this. I'm just speed running entire screen. Boom. This is the Nike have done a collab with Skims. I think I'm right. Here's the videos. So that is the Skims collab. What do you think of that? Did you hear the audio?
Nope, didn't hear the audio. But
for God's sake, particularly like very like sensual, very on the vibe and the feeling. So that was a video that just dropped. Only got 1.8k views, so it's not getting them biggest traction. But I think from a aesthetic look, it could be quite interesting.
I do too. So, I think it was cool, and they showed the fabric very well. Looks very enticing
from a visual. But you got the visual analysis. I got the audio
visual
analysis. Nice. So, and the campaign of 50 years ago, I'm going to read you the copy headline, and we try and guess which brand it is.
Okay.
Get hooked on the looks and sold on the price.
Hooked on the looks, sold on the price. This is from 50 years ago?
Yep.
50 years ago was what, 1970 something?
1976.
God. Hathaway?
No, it is Dodger, the Dodge Charger.
What?
I like this as a campaign. Essentially, it's a bit of context. In 1976, there was a high energy prices and a lot of kind of like consumers are going away from like the classic, like the Dodge type of car. They were going towards more like like not luxurious, but more like an easy car to drive with the family. So this was a counter positioning of, get hooked on the looks and sold on the price. It's very good copy because there's a rhyme to it, hooked and looks. And yeah, the new Dodge Charger. Once you're looked, you're hooked. So
Solid.
it's
It's a
a great
solid
campaign.
campaign.
I love it. I just think it's a great rhyme. I think it's such an underrated play that so many brands don't understand. Rhyming works for a reason. So that is the campaign of 50 years ago.
I
So
love it.
a bit of a whirlwind there, but yeah, I mean, look, I think to sum it up very quickly before I have to hop onto this next meeting, onto a meeting, would be, look, understand that, yes, there's some really great production tools to make more ads, but remember, there's a lot of sameness. So think net new concepts. ChatGPT's advertising platform, maybe spend a couple of $1,000s on there if you're a brand with good budget to see what's going on, just test it. Don't have to like put many dollars on it, just give it like a rough test and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of my takeaway. What about you? What's been your big takeaway?
Get bullish and get creative on different forms and vehicles for advertising. Like exactly what Corgi Cafe is doing, exactly what I'm doing. I'm selling ad space on my parents' garage.
Yeah, I saw that, mate.
There's a big plan for this. There's a
I'm
big
worried.
plan.
What's your footfall? Because that would be my question from an advertiser. How many people are going past your parents' garage? Are you playing the organic content?
We're playing the organic content play here. Yeah.
I was going to say, because I'd be looking at footfall.
It's
That'd be
more
my
of
measurement.
a promotional social play than it is obviously truly an out-of-home advertising play. But I've already got brands who are like, yep, let's do it. So next week that'll start. And then there's actually a big plan to grow this into a different type of series and maybe potential to start doing some insane advertising in the real world coming soon. I'll explain that to you off camera, but there's a big plan here that I think we can turn advertising into consumerism.
Oh, that gets me excited. I mean, okay, that's fantastic to hear. So look, I mean, we'll chat about that next week. But look, it's been a pleasure as always. It's goodbye from me, and goodbye from Carson, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Peace.